Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second session of our personal financial management trading session. This is a DTB in collaboration with Zurich Consulting. Karibuni sana. We started last week where we had our first module, and the module was on understanding your financial position, and we're able to cover, the basics of personal financial management, to understand what financial wellness is and what it takes to build financial freedom. And so today we're going to delve a little deeper and go into the key pillars of financial security. So karibuni sana, and even as you join, you can let us know what stood out for you from the last session, as we broke down the concepts of understanding your financial position. Did you get a better understanding of where really you stand? Did you have, a session where now you had to go and sit with yourself to understand where you lie? So yes, please feel free to share with us what stood out for you from the last session. We got to cover very, very many concepts, and we even had a case study to understand different scenarios of spending your spending, your savings, your budgeting, all of that. So please let us know, and even as you join, where you're from and what your key takeaways from the session, so that today, as we delve into the key pillars of financial security, we're building on the foundation. We will also be sharing the an Excel sheet template that provides different templates that can help you apply the concepts learned. So I will share it on the chat, but also feel free. We will also share it in the subsequent sessions on your email. So yeah, the template will really help you apply the lessons learned. So thank you so much for joining in. As you come in, also let us know what stood out for you from the last session. And we will be having Elizabeth also taking us through today's session. As you gathered maybe from last week, she is a seasoned investment and financial literacy professional, and we will just continue with her. So thank you so much. We also have sign language interpretation. I will also share that on the chat. Faith and Lillian will be taking us through sign language interpretation. And they have shared the same on the chat. So yes, feel free to engage. We thank you for the engagement last week as well. Keeps the session vibrant. And without further ado, now allow me to welcome Elizabeth to take us through module 2. Karibu sana, Elizabeth.
Great. Thank you so much, Mantui, for the great introduction. And also for people who are engaging, Lily is saying, I realized I'm not alone. I need to start today. There was, Victoria is asking that, can we do a recap? Yes, the beauty about wealth creation is really building on to what we did last week. So yes, we shall be going back and forth. There is Alex saying how to enhance my financial journey. That was powerful. And I want to ask a question. How many of us went back and wrote the 3 financial mistakes they wish some things that they did, financial mistakes, and now they know, I know better, I could not have done that. If we can just maybe say, this is what I went and looked, and this is what I saw, that I will be very helpful for us, so that we can see that we are actually actioning. Remember, the issue is not about listening. The issue is in actioning. We want to make sure that the time invested here does not really amount to nothing, because all of us understand what we need to do, but we need to take action. So last week we had a couple of assignments that we needed to take. One of them was, yes, listing the key financial mistake. The other one was looking at some of the 5 financial expenses that we had undertaken the previous, maybe 1 month. And then just being able to classify them. Are they a want? Are they a need? Could I have done over them? And we learned one key thing, sleeping over it. 24-hour rule helps you see if tomorrow you still need it or you still want it, then it might mean that it is something that you need. Then, so it is always good to ask yourself those questions. And today we shall delve into key pillars of financial, how to create financial security. all the way from how do I increase multiple income, increase my income, all the way to when I'm not there, how will the world look like? So it is very, very important that we think about today, even as we think about where we are going. So today, our key conversation will be about key pillars of financial security. Please ask questions as we go. That will help us engage and also know exactly what are your pain points and where we can start. Remember, this is very practical, so we shall use a lot of real life examples so that we can actually relate and say, I'm not alone. I have seen this thing and I can always change. So as usual, I want us to start with some question, and I would like us to chat on the group. What was the first income you earned? What is the first money that was yours, that this is your money? When was the first time you earned something? Yeah, can I just get what is the first time, what did you do with what did you earn the first cash? Anyone wants to chat in the group? What was the first money that you earned? Yeah. 50K and I paid help. Thank you, Libby. Internship. Thank you, Paul. And even help is money. I want to take you back, Libby, and say the first money that you got was really maybe help. Yeah, so 2,500, what did you do with that money? And are we really training our kids, for those of us who have kids or people who depend on us, are we training them how to earn the money and how to use it? So the second question, what did you do with it? What did you do with the money that you earned? Yeah, it gets even more interesting. And this will help us identify the key financial mistakes. What did you do with the money that you got? Yeah, there's someone who did house expenses. The first amount of money at least that was mine, other than the pocket money that we used, is that the former president Moi gave us everybody 2,000 in the school that I was earning. When I was going home, I just went a pair of shoes for everybody. So because I was like, oh, I need to be a good sister. So what did you do with the money that you bought? Looking back, could you have done it differently? It will be interesting to hear. Remember, we talked about our money mindset. Could we have done it differently? So, so when you think about it, are you a spender? Are you a saver? Or it is complicated? Remember last time, what is the relationship that we have with money? So Carlos say, there's this one that is interesting, 9K and I ate it. I don't know how you ate the money. Maybe you went and told your body pole. But the beauty is these sessions that we are having with DTB are going to help us to make better decisions. The beauty is you have to start where you are. You cannot wait for tomorrow, neither can you go back. If you want to go back, you'll only stress yourself, which is not even possible. So great. So it is good, and let's continue engaging. And I want to start with real life examples of two people who started their jobs at the same time. So we have one who is Brian, who's graduated at 23. He graduated at 23 with a business and got a job as a marketing assistant. The initial salary was 35,000 per month. So this is active income, whereby he's trading his money, his time for money. Then he was a bright guy, so he saved 5,000 using the 30-50, the 50-30-20 rule. That is the budgeting rule. Then he opened a money market fund, and the starting capital, the way he told his body Paul, was 10,000 into a money market fund. So he paid himself. Then he made sure that he has a cover. And then at that particular point, why plan? There was really nothing to plan for. Then at age 26, that is 3 years after working, he was promoted. He got 60,000 and started a side hustle of offering digital marketing. Remember, today, people are looking for different things. So this digital marketing freelance was earning him an extra 25,000. Now he can actually increase his savings from the initial 5,000 to 15,000. So he bought his money into circles, and then he also decided, okay, I have an emergency fund in the money market fund, but can I take a little bit more risk? And then decided, let me get into a balanced portfolio. And then remember, time is going. So he actually got a health insurance, and now his emergency fund was growing. At this particular time, he had to have his financials in place. So he's writing his financial goals. He registered, you remember he was doing the freelance business. So he registered it in a formal way. So that also helps them in terms of marketing. at age 30, Brian's income had grown to 100,000, and his side hustle began to give him about 50 to 70,000. So he had already created a savings of over 500,000. So he had different streams of income. So he's spending his time earning a salary. He's in the evening, he's doing some side hustles, and people are working for him through the investment that he had done. So so he had a savings emergency fund of 6 months. And now he realized, okay, I can actually take more risk by investing in real estate. And at that particular point, legacy was important. What will I be remembered for? Then finally, at age 35, Brian becomes a consultant. He decides, okay, fine, I want to spend my money, my time the way I want. So that's how he got into consulting. Then the income from the consulting, that was the income that he was getting, his dividends, his rental income, and digital business continued to work. So he's saving a lot. He invested in government securities, but he bought a plot. And then now he's structured his risk management. He makes sure that his debt is well structured. And at that particular point, he could be having kids. So it is important to know, how will I give these kids my money? So am I getting into a trust? In terms of a will, how is that working? So that is Brian for you. Let's look at Joseph. Similar opportunities. So Joseph graduated with an accounting degree, and his salary was actually much higher, 45,000. So he was very excited. You remember the money mindset? He was very excited to earn and enjoy independence, bought a new smartphone, and furnished his bedsitter on credit because it is readily available. He did not prioritize savings. He lived for today. Yeah, you only live once. So the missed opportunity, he spent more than he earned through digital loans, ignored financial literacy sessions because I'm still young. Yeah. So Joseph now earns 65,000 at age 25, but takes out a car loan without understanding the long-term costs, the problems. Loan repayments takes up 40% of his income. He cannot be able to save for his emergency, and also his insurance is not there. So the consequences, constant stress. Let me actually share some statistics. Do you know that 6 in every 10 Kenyans today working, they actually are going through financial stress? 6 in 10. So even as for employers, when you think about it, you must be able to teach your people about money. So the consequences was a stress, lost access to affordable credit due to late repayments. So every time I tried to save something, something else came up. So he was always playing a catch-up game. Then at age 30, all is not lost. After being retrenched, Joseph had no cushion and I had to move back with relatives. Turning point. I have earned 2 million, but I have no assets. So friends were with less income had invested in land and circles. So at that particular point, you are thinking about, oh, okay, what is going on? So the first step is, let me first start by join a circle so that he can consolidate his loans. Remember, some loans cost you as high as over 20%. Yet in the circle, you can be able to borrow maybe at 12%. So began tracking his expenses, and then at least attended our prosperity classes so that we could come up with a game plan. Then finally, at age 33, he started recovery. So Joseph now earns 80,000 at a new job and is rebuilding slowly, but intentionally. Progress paid off most consumer debt, savings 10,000 a month, investing in money market fund, and taking financial literacy seriously. How can we relate with those two stories? What can we relate with those two stories? Maybe now that you have gone to have we ever seen a Joseph, and have you ever seen a Brian? Let's engage in the chat. Where do we see ourselves? How do we see people around us? And what could they have done differently? So it will be good to engage in the chat with those two. Kenneth says, I'm a Joseph. We have many Josephs here. Money market funds are good for the long term. We shall get to that in a minute. So we want to make sure that, yes, we are not YOLOing. We are not only living once. We are living well, comprehensively, today and tomorrow, because that is very important. So if you just look at the both of them, just understanding from those two stories, what are the journeys? So immediately, so for Brian, immediately after college, Brian starts savings and investing. Remember, at times we don't start because we don't know, but we are lucky today that we are here to converse. Then years later, Joseph, that is when he starts saving and investing. So he's lost 10 years, but remember, because investment and wealth creation is a matter of time, it's a compounding effect. He will need to actually sacrifice more for him to get back. So we all have turning points. So Joseph faces an financial crisis and rethinks finances and thinks, okay, COVID can happen. What will happen? My kids will still need to eat. What will I do? Yeah. But now for Brian, the turning point is, okay, I have worked enough. I have some money saved for me. So what can I do next? I can actually create options for myself. So let me get into consulting and wait for the passive income. People will be working for me. So by age 35, Brian is financially secure with multiple income streams, but Joseph is recovering. So what does this tell us? It tells us it is possible to start where you are. It is good to start early. And that is why we need to actually start educating our kids about money matters. And as we even go further, what will be important is how do we change? Because every time is a learning point. Every time is a learning point. So that is very, very important for us. So let's now summarize the two stories. So for Brian's financial success journey, what did it look like? One, he started yes, he's employed. Then he started a consulting, that is the consulting firm that was giving him some little shillings at the end of the month. Then at that particular point, he had a diversified income. On average, we should try have at least 2 to 3 sources of income. Then he created an education fund, a retirement fund, and then he also, at the age of 30, 33, he's thinking about estate planning. And now he actually spends time mentoring people and speaking engagement because that is important. When it comes to Joseph, Joseph financial achievements at 45. So he started educating people. Do not be like me. So he's educating his nephews about that. He's financially free because he's paid off his debt. He has passive income coming in. He has real estate investing. He has a freelance business because right now with KRA, if you're an accountant, actually you can make a lot of money from freelancing. And then he's constantly saving for pension, not because NSSF has said or the law has said, but because it is the right thing to do. So starting early you get options, but it's the discipline that made the difference. You have to save today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. I'm not saying that it is going to be easy, but as you if you progress, you will actually be able to catch yourself. So I always say that even when you think about goals, consistency is important, but the day you sleep, catch yourself and come much earlier. So for Brian, for Joseph, I may have started late, but once I got intentional, things shifted. Starting was the hardest part, but I'm proud of how far I have come. So we start today as we grow. So whether you are 25 or 45, the right time to build financial security is always today. Start small, stay consistent, and the future will meet you halfway. So that is really, really important. We start today, the future is here with us. So I want us to ask ourselves a couple of questions. So we have asked ourselves about who do you relate to more, Brian the planner or Joseph the late bloomer? So I'm Brian with little touch of Joseph from time to time. Thank you, Carlos. Yes, we cannot be 100%. For people who are working for the corporate world, why would we save on NSF yet it won't benefit us in any way? Ooh, that we shall cover when we're discussing pensions maybe next week, because it works. So when you think about NSSF, you get your money, but what are the other options that you can actually get, like tax benefit for contributing into a pension schemes? So Bengo says it all depends on the environment and the starting point, but you can actually decide the environment. You can decide who you hang out with. You can decide a lot. So what online jobs can one do to earn part income? We have talked about maybe like just even helping with digital marketing. And there are so many things these days that you can even ask, these are my skills. Ask ChatGPT, what can I do and where can I do it? So the question is today, we have a lot of resources that we can use. So what's the one decision you have made recently that brought you closer to your financial goals? We want to learn from you. What is the one decision you have made recently that brought you closer to your goal? One, we have trying to rebuild, wish I had all this knowledge before, not to worry. We are starting where we are today. So more financial information on financial management brought me closer to my goal. Thank you so much. Saving in a money market fund, tracking my finances. Perfect examples. Then what's one resource tool you wish you had earlier? I think there's someone who had said, I wish I had learned this before. Yeah, so it is always good to start today. And the beauty is we have people helping us, we can read, and that is why we are here. So that is very, very important. And those are good real life stories that we can actually relate with. Yeah, those are real life stories that we can relate it with, and we can actually see ourselves in one of them or the other. So perfect, perfect, perfect. So then I thought about how then do we walk through this journey of wealth creation so that we know at every stage, what should I be doing? What should I be doing at every stage? So the first thing is from 0 to 17 years. In most cases, you are under your mother's or your parents. They're the ones who are helping you. So you're really creating a foundation. At times, it is not easy for you to make a difference on how things unfold. However, you can choose to learn. And for us who are parents at this particular point, or people who we are in places of influence, we can decide to teach people. We can actually decide to be very intentional. For your kids, do you give them that 100 shillings or a 1,000 shillings and then tell them, plan it's for the entire month? Or you go for shopping, your kids are throwing a tantrum. How do you help them understand you don't get everything that you actually want? You actually have to prioritize. So that is our role at this particular time. Let's make sure that we are helping people become much, much better. And the people I'm talking about is really our kids and the people that are under our care. Then age 18 to 25, you are a young adult. So you gain skills, first job, and start personal brand. The key question is, you might not know the career that you'll end up at, but are you pragmatic? Are you looking for opportunities? Are you ready to go the extra point? You can always be able to outwork people. So at this particular point, gain every skill. Do the professional paper that you think would make a difference in the line that you want. Offer your services for free, because it is in offering those services that you can actually be able to get to the next level. So learn as much as possible, spend much of your time creating a career, but at the same time be open. Then age 26 to 40, remember you may be in your first or second job, you have income. Now you're looking at diversification. How do I increase my money? Am I advancing? How do I get the extra paper? Maybe the professional paper. Do I go for my MBA? Or do I even just spend time learning online to grow more money? So diversification of income is the key focus at age 26 to age 40. Then at age 41 to 60, and you're looking at a legacy. How much assets have I created? How am I going to leave this to my kids? So at that particular point, you are really thinking about organizing your life post you. Then at age 60, it is time to enjoy life. So post-retirement, you're living off your investment. So the question is, you still have 24 hours. With the 24 hours, what will you be doing? So think about that today. Think about your 60 today. How will the world look like? So it is very, very important for all of us to look at this. Remember then the life is not similar for everybody. Some of us are late bloomers. Some of us will grow much faster. Maybe there are people who even own their business at the age of 17. Do not feel pressure. The question is, are you moving towards the right direction? Because direction and momentum is more important than the destination. So that is completely important for us to think about. So, and ask questions as we even go through. So at formative stages, at these particular points, let's educate the people around us. As we grow, let's even think about more diversification of income. And as we do post-retirement planning, because for me, when I do post-retirement planning, the question is, how will I spend 24 hours? So that is very important. If you used to run a business and you're running out of steam, so you have gotten your other people involved into the business, what will you still be doing? Because you are used to an active life. So think about that today. Over 60 and still doing consultancy in my specialty to avoid being idle. Super, Veronica, we need to learn from you. So that is important. By investing money market fund or whatever, those are the things that we are doing. So it is very, very important. So think about all this. But now it is good to bring it home, because that is theoretically the right place that we need to end up at. Right, that is theoretically where we want to be. However, what is the situation on the ground. So there was this Venezuelan report that I saw, and it really relates to what we have today. There were 100 people that were looked at or were tracked from when they started working at the age of 25 to 65 years and where they were at age 65. So you will realize that for that 100 set, that data set of 100 people, 27% would have died in one way or another. Then we had 63% were still struggling. So they're not like Veronica, who is doing her consultancy because she has time to do, she needs to be active. There are people who are struggling. I must live with, I must pay bills. So those are like 63%. About 5% were working because they love their job. And then 4% were financially independent, and 1% were they were completely rich. So the question is, where do you find yourself? The path that you're taking today, where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself based on the path that you are taking today? Yeah, and what can you do today to course correct? Because it is important if you're not headed to, I would say, to the 4% and actually the top 10%, that is, I'm working because I like what I do. Or number 4, I'm financially independent. I can do what I want to do with whoever I want to do it, with money not being a significant consideration. And then David said he wants to be rich. Yes, you want to be the Elon Musk, the Manu Chandaria. So that's where we want to go. However, are your actions today aligned to that? So this is a real life example. So we really need to make sure that we are working towards not being the 63%, because it is possible to start wherever we are. So if that is our destination, what can we do then? Because remember, the starting point is, how do I increase my money? Because that is where, or my income, how do I increase? So remember, we look at it in terms of 3 key things. Your income can be, we can classify income in 3 key ways. One is active, semi-passive, and passive. Active is where you are trading your time. You must be there for money to be earned. Like now what I'm doing today, I must be here for money to come. But remember, there could be someone else who could be training. So you need to think about when you're actively selling your time for money, that is active income. If you're employed, that is active income. So under active income, so how do you increase how can you increase your income? One is really advancing your career. Do you have the papers that are required to be the best in that organization, in the organization? Are you looking at better opportunities elsewhere? So those are some of the things in terms of advancing your career. But remember, you won't advance your career if you're not investing in yourself. So that's why we say the best investment is in self. Then freelancing and consulting, you must be good at something. So how can you monetize what you are good at? So if for those people who like maybe things like baking, you can actually be able to be the one who is bringing cake to the office for breakfast. You're selling to people mandazis. Those are some of the things that you can do. Start a side hustle and then teach or train. I think these days with teaching and training, it's one of since you're good at something, share that information. The other one is passive income. So let me go to semi-passive income, whereby you must put in time, but as you put in that time, you can actually whatever product you come up with is replicatable in terms of sales. So you can be able to sell, do work, and then replicate the sales. So create digital products, monetize your content, asset-based work like rental, whereby you have to go collect, and then also commission-based. Have you ever asked yourself why the salespeople actually lead a very different life? Because for them, commission becomes a key thing. And that is why we also run into challenges with multi-level marketing. You really just know to understand where to go. Then passive income. Here, even if you sleep, even if you go wherever, money is coming. If you invested in a money market fund, as long as the money is there, other people are working to give you that money. So it is important that you can think about investing in financial instruments, real estate where you're not directly involved, and then pension and retirement plans is another one that you can do. So here, you're really just you won't earn money, you put it aside, and you're just getting a return. So the key question here, how much risk am I taking for what kind of return? So remember, you will never earn more than the value you bring to the marketplace. So if you want to charge high consultancy fee, please be a solution provider. Markets are fair. So eventually, if you are undercharging, people will actually come and help. You'll actually get yourself to just charge the right prices. Then the other key thing is multiple streams of income don't start with multiple businesses. They start with one consistent skill. So I know most of us are doing very many things, but the fact that you're so diversified in terms of thought process, you might not be able to be earning or commanding a specific ask from where you earn. So I don't know what is standing out for you when it comes to this. What are some of the resolutions or some of the things that you are looking at in terms of this passive income? What could you do better when it comes to creating, and I'm looking at passive and semi-passive income. What are some of the ideas that you could have that we could really work, we could learn from each other? What are you doing to increase your income in terms of passive income, in terms of semi-passive? Can we learn from you? Scaling on digital products. Thank you, Nelson. Scaling on digital products. That means that you are selling your products and actually and just being able to push that. So for us to do that, we need to learn what are the platforms that we can actually do that. Yes, so Derek, it's fine that all the slides will be available and the recordings. I need to understand pension and retirement plans. Yes, we will go through that in a minute. Learning new skills, e.g. trading, that is important. So let's improve ourselves so that we can actually be able to earn more. So I want us to jump straight into savings and investments. What is the difference between savings and investments? We went through this last week. What is savings? What is investments? So I don't know, you can chat on the group, but saving is really putting your money away. And then the second step is investing, where is you're putting that money away, but investing is making sure that it works for you. So for Janet, for example, you're saving in a money market fund. You're actually investing in a money market fund because the money market fund is giving you a return than you would get if that money was just seated. Yeah, so that is the difference. The saving gives you the culture, is the first step to having investing is the first step to growing. So you can have as much, as long as your money is in a savings account, it is not working for you. So you need to move it to working for you. Yeah. So what are the steps that you need to go through when it comes to savings and investments? One of them we have gone through is that recognizing the need. And that is where we say, because we have understood, we are starting today. If I'm just in someone who has said, I'm stuck in vicious debt cycle, that is the first note, knowing that, you know what, this is a rat race. I need to get out. So that is recognizing the need and then setting financial goals. So I will again go back. I'm in a debt situation. I need to say by the end of this year, these are the debts that I need to clear. And we shall go through the process of debt management. Then you have to have a consistent habit of saving. So the question that always comes in, do I pay debts or do I save? The answer is it depends. However, you not having a savings fund, you will get yourself into a debt trap again because you will need money. And since you don't have that money, you'll borrow at the most convenient, which is most cases will be most expensive. So you need to make sure that you have at least, before you start paying down, at least you have some sort of cushion for your money. Then the other stage is financial stability and planning. So creating a budget and clearing debt. That is what we need to work on. So that is the goal that we want to get to. And then investing. And when it comes to investing, ask the questions. The three things that we agreed. What am I getting? What is my return? Number two, what is the risk that I'm undertaking? And number three, how do I get that money back? And then finally is strategic wealth building, saying that I have this 24 hours, I'll do this business, and this is how I'm going to spend my time. So those are some of the key things that we need to look at when it comes to savings and investment. But I want to spend a little bit more time thinking about various investments. So we start with savings. We say that I'm putting a standing order to a savings account. That savings account, the risk level, because I'm dealing with a bank which is regulated, in a SACCO, which is regulated, the risk is very low. The returns, you'll be lucky to get above 5%. Then the tax rate that you will be charged is 15%. You will have a 15% withholding tax. So that means if, for example, you got 100 shillings, what is available for you is 85 shillings. That is what is going to come to your account. Then the money market funds is the second level. So the risk levels are also low. The liquidity is high. And the withholding tax is again at 15% on gross returns. And the gross returns would be on the, if you're in a money market fund, is on the interest rate. Then if you're in if you're in an equity fund, it will be again, it will be the change in net asset value. Then the other one is fixed deposits. This is you're calling your relationship manager at DTB and you have 100 million you want to place. Those are the kind of the returns that you're going to get. The risk levels are low. Liquidity is medium because you need to wait until maturity, else you could actually lose the interest. Then the withholding tax there is 15%. Then you can actually lend to the government through treasury bills and treasury bonds. Treasury bills are short-term investments that, yes, they are short-term investments and they are of 3 tenors, 91 days, 182 days, and 364 days. They vary in terms of the interest rate and it depends with what is going on. Right now, the interest rates are around 8%. So in terms of risk, they are low. And the liquidity is medium. Why do I say that? If, for example, you want to invest in a treasury bill and you choose 91 days, you have to wait for the 91 days to end for you to get back your money. If you wanted that money back, you can go to CBK, but they will charge you. So you lose some capital on it. For the bonds, they are available and you can trade. But the nature of the market is if you are not trading 100 million, you'll be a price taker. What does that mean? You will end up losing, you can actually end up losing your capital. So when it comes to investing in treasury bills and bonds, understand the tenor. Why am I investing? It is important. Otherwise, it would affect you. Then we have SACCO shares and dividends. That one, I think most of us have invested. So the dividends you get, for the shares, you get dividends. And for the deposits, you get also that you get a return at the end of the financial year. So just know which SACCO you want to invest with and what returns they give. All that information is readily available. And the dividend, the tax there is 5%. So for treasury bills, let me go back. The tax on treasury bills is at 15%. For long-term bonds, it's at 10%. If you invest what is called an infrastructure bond, it's tax-free. Then you can invest in real estate, and real estate can be different things. It could mean buying a piece of land. It can mean buying a piece of land and building. It can mean buying a completed house, an apartment, real estate investment trust. The key question is how much time do you have to spend on real estate? If you have time, you can do real estate development. Your returns will be much better. If you don't have the time, all you need is passive income. You can do an apartment. You can actually even do a real estate investment trust, which really works like the other funds, like money market funds. You can do equities. Right now, it is easy to trade in the NSE. There are even digital application, but you need to understand which shares am I buying? Is it DTB? Is it KCB? Is it Safaricom? So how do you determine what that is? So you need to have, again, time to do the analysis, the right investment partner for you to do that. Then you can actually decide, like the consultancy, I want to do private business, or I just want to start my own business. Here, the returns are pretty high. But remember, you have to also have a lot of structures in place for you to do that. And for that particular one, I came up with a book that is called Transcend, which I just really what you think about when you're starting a business. When you think about compliance, when you think about scalability, how does that look like? Then there's pension scheme. There's someone who had asked about pension funds. So pension funds, right now, everybody who is employed should be sending money to NSSF. And that is called Tier 1. If you are in if you can actually also decide that you are not going to send the second tier, it's called Tier 2, to NSSF. That is anything above a minimum amount set. That money goes to a registered pension scheme. Pension schemes are registered by the Retirement Benefit Scheme. If you are an individual running an organization, you can actually decide to join an independent pension scheme, which works like a money market fund. So again, the returns there range between around 9 to all the way to 20%, depending on the year. This is an average return over a period of time. Then the liquidity is low because it is you only access that money as you retire and as you change jobs. The beauty is when you wait until, I think, 50 now, you will get your money tax-free. The other thing is any money that you're putting in a fund up to 30,000 every month, it reduces your tax. So if, for example, you are earning 100,000, and you're contributing 20,000 into a pension scheme, your tax will start at The first 20,000 is not taxed. So your tax will start at the 20,001 shillings. So it actually gives you a significant shield. And I was just calculating for someone who invests about 30,000 and earning 100 shillings, you're actually saving more than 5,000 in tax. Then the other one is the investment in things like digital and like things like crypto, very, very volatile. The risk level is really up the roof and the liquidity is high, but please ask the right questions, understand how money is going to come. It is one of the assets that I am still getting to understand how money is made. So always make sure that as you ask about these questions, you understand how money is made. So when it comes to investments, how do you decide what do I invest in? One of them you have to ask yourself, oh, how long do I have to put this money away? So the investment goal, if it's, for example, you're investing your your term 3 kids education, it cannot go to the stock market, please. It cannot go to crypto. It has to go to something that is readily available back to you. So a money market fund, a deposit, because it is important for you to get that money. You cannot gamble with that. If, for example, you have you're starting today, you're age 25, and it's a money that you want to retire, the retirement money, then that way you can do real estate speculation, you can do development, you can go all the way to even stock market. Then you have to understand your risk levels. Remember, we could have very similar characteristics, but we are cultured differently. So evaluate your emotional and financial risk capacity. We could have the similar financial risk capacity, but for some of us, we want to sleep at night. And the only thing that can make us sleep at night is XYZ. So make sure that you understand you. Then you need to think about your liquidity needs. So that's why it comes back to the time horizon. It is important to tap those together. Then remember, the larger the financial base you have, or your net worth, the higher the net worth, the easier it is for you to take more risks. So work on your net worth, and also do not take risks that are similar to someone else because you do not understand how much they have. Then always diversify. Remember, the only person who doesn't diversify is the one who thinks they are right all the time. And in most cases, risk crystallizes. And then understand investments. So that's why we have come in today, to understand various investments. I know there is something that on the investment side that I have not talked about, which is insurance. And for me, I look at insurance as not as an investment, but as a risk management tool. So if I'm buying education policy, I'm buying education policy because if I die, what will happen to my kids? So it is very important to think about that, because if you look at it in form of returns, then it will not qualify for investment. So just understand those. Why am I putting this money away? It could be a risk management tool, or it could be an investment return. So let us sit and reflect. What is your biggest risk to investing right now? Maybe you could say A, B, C, and then we see. What is your key risk to investing right now? Yeah. So there's, I know you have asked about Forex. So for Forex, I look at it as similar with crypto. You really must understand your where you're investing. So why don't you invest? They are moving really fast. So there is E, which they don't know where to start. Now you know, at least number E is good. The people who have problems about number E, we are here to help you start. DTB can give you a deposit. We can train you, and that's why we are here. Then we have number B. I think I need a lot of money. Of course not. Please, with 100 shillings, you can open a money market fund. We can walk you the journey to that. Then there is number D. I haven't made it a priority. That is why you are here. You are making it a priority today. Yeah, I'm afraid of losing money. No, understand the risk that you are willing to take. If, for example, I want to invest in a money market fund, I have been working with something like Jubilee. They have a money market fund. So you just look at the brand that you care for and you can work with them. I am not disciplined. So Ezekiel, we have a solution for discipline for you, which is you'll tell us this is what I want to be doing, and we will remind you without fail. Yeah, there is actually another application called Chums, whereby once you spend a lot of money over the weekend, they tell you, hey, boss, you have not sent your money to your money market fund. So yeah, so we can actually start where we are with 100 shillings, with 2,000 shillings, and life won't change so much, quality of life today, but it will change our outlook about life. So our commitment today is we are starting here. So I'm ready to start hand-holding. Yes, that is why we are here. So I want us to just get some question here. If you would ask any of these investors one question about building wealth or choosing investment, what would it be? So if you met Warren Buffett today, one of the biggest investors globally, or you met Nasim Davji today, the CEO of DTB, or Manu Chandaria, what would you ask them? So Zara, yes, you want to meet Nasim. What would you ask her today when it comes to pillars of building wealth? Possible to reach out after the, yeah. Yes. Starting capital, how did you start? Yes, the question is, how did you start? Imagine they started because they started where they were. So that's a good question. What does it take? Yes. How to remain consistent in a volatile market. I would ask for mentorship. When you go for mentorship, the question is, what specific question do you want me to help you? Because these are very busy people. Do you need a team to start investing? No, the team that you need is yourself and your information. Tell me his financial journey that you can read. Let's read about them. Look at Warren, look at Nassim. I'm sure we can get a lot of information. How to handle black tax. Yes, Sheila, that's a good question. Financial stability. So all these questions, remember, we are looking at success stories. How do we look at the success stories and think about longevity? That is a good question. How do you maintain the position? So you might never have an opportunity to sit with Warren, yeah? Warren Buffett, neither do maybe Manu Chandaria. But the beauty is we can actually get a lot of insights about them online and by reading. So my key thing to you today is, how do you assume you're speaking to them? How do you start? Start by reading, get information, and ask yourself the right questions the questions that you need. So I want us to jump into debt management because we have done increasing our income, number one. Number two, we have done how to invest. Now I want us to understand the debt management. But before you actually put yourself down and start thinking you are the only problem, I want us to give you some Kenyan story. So if you look at Kenya today, the amount of debt that we hold as Kenyans is about 25 to 30% of GDP. Then if you look at just some studies that were done, 40% of people who borrow from mobile apps, people who have borrowed from a mobile app, 40% of them borrow on a monthly basis. So they are basically borrowing it's a continuous job for them. Then if you look at the amount of mobile loans default is about 30%. So people are borrowing and they're not repaying. Why is that? They think because they can. So you're bringing your debt. You're actually reducing your financial attractiveness to banks. Then the other key thing is about 1.2 trillion is owed to banks. So that is in line with the 30%. Then for Fuliza, which is just to show the amount of money that is changing hands in the digital space, is about 350, and SACCOs are lending about 800 million. So if you look at this, debt is not a bad thing, because if it was a bad thing, then all these statistics would show a bad situation. So what you use the debt for is the biggest problem. But now it even gets more interesting. Do you know that people who borrow online digitally, at least they have 3 to 5 loans? So once you start the digital loan borrowing process, you actually find yourself borrowing here to pay here, borrowing here to pay here. So you have about 3 to 5 loans. Then when for the bank borrowers, at least 1 to 2 loans. For SACCO, it's only 1 at any one time. The informal loans, people have at least 2 to 3 informal loans. So this is the story. So when you feel yourself like I'm in a debt race, just know that you're not alone. However, you can actually leave others there by now being more disciplined and starting. So let's look at, there are 2 types of debts, good and bad debts. So when you borrow for productive investments and you understand the risk and everything, then that is good debt. As long as the money that you are whatever you have borrowed, one, the returns are better than the cost of money. Number two, the cash flow is sufficient to take care of that. So most of us at times we borrow, but we are not able to be cash flow positive. So the question is, I may not be cash flow positive today, but the question is, how am I going to be able to pay this? Because that is a very good once you start, you have a good investment that is not cash flow generating, then you get yourself into trouble. Then the other thing is about a debt. Increasing earnings power reduces long-term costs. So it's one of the things that when you're now looking at debt as it gets towards bad debt, you're really borrowing one to pay the other. Then the other point is you're now getting into some sort of uncomfortable level. So repayment affects essential things like food. You are borrowing one to pay the other. That is now a big problem. And then the other key thing when you think about debt is about you cannot even explain what is it that you borrowed. If, for example, today you took a digital loan, what are the terms and conditions that you have signed? Could you have signed your life away? Are you reading? Are you understanding? So it is always good to know that you can easily get into a bad debt because you do not understand the terms and conditions. And then the biggest problem when it comes to debt, and I know it's really impulse debt, to make your life better, but not necessarily a must-have. So for example, I was talking to one of them, he's a soldier, and he was just telling me the life of when they are recruited. They're called makuruti or something, when they are recruited. So the first time you get that job, you are told the first salary, they actually go to buy furniture. You don't even know how long this is going to take, or, it's called kurutu, yes. Most of them actually start debt issues there because they are just borrowing because I have gotten a job. And then from there, you just start on a wrong footing. So we need to think about debt. Let's always ask ourselves, even before you sign that fine print, can you sleep over it? Ask questions to your relationship manager because they will tell you the truth, and you'll be able to make the right decisions. When interest rates are coming down, please also take care because in the Kenyan context, the interest rates are very volatile. So it could start on today very well. And then when rates go up, you have a challenge in repayment. So that is a big, big issue. So some of the key causes of debt is really poor budgeting and not spending plans. So income management is important, and then do not default on your borrowing. Try at least to pay the minimum at any one point. The other key issue is lifestyle pressure and social comparison. You want, because your classmates' kids are going to XYZ school, that's where you want them to go, yours to go, and you cannot afford. And also family expectations. You always on social media, we always look at this thing during December. You go home and you are the king of the party. So always make sure that you at least you tamper the expectation, what is expected. Emotional spending, I talked about this. When your boss tells you something bad, all the shoes come calling, all the handbags are looking all pretty. So please always make sure that you avoid some of those things, and also determine who you go out with because peer pressure is real. Then emergency without savings. So always make sure that, especially for those of us millennials, and we are at retirement. For some of us, maybe we are retirement packages for our parents. So you can actually decide to just take a risk policy to avoid emergencies that you cannot take care of. Then the other key issue is about lack of financial literacy. The beauty is we are here. We are being sensitized. The question is execution. And then easy access to high interest credit. Yes, you are just somewhere and Timiza just sends and tells you, oh, you qualify for 100,000. Before you think about it, you have accepted. So let's catch ourselves. And before you take debt, let's always ask ourselves, how do we get out of this? So in terms of the debt management strategy, please, if you find yourself in a debt situation, stop. Halting new borrowings to prevent is key. Tracking income and expenses to allocate funds. Please track. And there are tools that can help you analyze where your money is going. You just upload it and it can able to tell you, oh, this is the amount of M-Pesa that you are spending on X. Then selecting a method of debt payoff. So there are different methods of debt payoff. So just first of all, itemize them. I have debt 1, 2, 3, and this is the cost that it's costing me, and that's how I need to go about it. Then the other thing is seeking better terms from lenders. If, for example, you have a debt with a microfinance, and I'm nothing against microfinance, maybe your cost of debt is like 30%. Nothing stops you from walking to a DTB and telling them, okay, can you buy over this asset? It is doable. Or can you go to your SACCO and say, okay, fine, I'm borrowing at 12%. Can I get this? Then the other thing is boosting income to accelerate debt and repayment. Then savings to avoid future debt. That is important. So debt freedom isn't about luck. It's about discipline, decision, and a clear plan. So you have to push yourself to make that plan very, very easy. So I want us, before we take a pause, to take some conversations here. What value or return am I getting from the debts I currently hold? So when you borrowed, what did you invest in? So this is the journey that you take. I borrowed 1 million shillings. That 1 million shillings, I bought a piece of land. That piece of land is either appreciating by X% or it is doing something like that. Yeah. So that is one of the ways that you need to think about. So any of us can actually write, when you borrowed, what did you do that money with? So what is the return and what is the cash flow? Do I know exactly how much I owe to whom and by when? This one I would like people to write. Do I know how much I owe today? How much debt do you have today? Anyone is 100% sure that they know how much they owe? They know. We won't ask you how much. We won't ask you how much, but do you know how much you owe today? Then, good. It's good, Alex, that we know. I put it in a business, help loan. I'm sure even some of us have actually don't know how much we are owing in help. So we just need to check. I recently calculated. So we'll help you actually be on there with a clear dashboard of this is what I have. What lessons has debt taught me about self-control, planning, or pride? Yeah. Are there things that debt, when you explain when you're in a debt situation, that has helped you about self-control, planning, and pride? Yes. Yes, they teach us a lot. So we just need to make sure that we are learning, because it's a constant learning. So Matthew, I don't know whether we are taking a break.
Yes, I think we can proceed. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that first session. I think it's also a sort of aha moment for a lot of people, just understanding where they're at financially and maybe some of the mistakes they have made. You can see in the chat, some people are telling us they've taken, loans for sherehe, so there's interesting insights, and it's good to be honest, so that once like you shared last week, once you're moving from a point of awareness, we're able to build on that. So maybe I can just ask you to answer one question around pensions, because I'm seeing the questions we can group them into certain themes. So maybe we can just answer one around pension, and then we will proceed on break. So there's one person who would like a better explanation on pensions, and then also one who asked that they left an organization and they were paid their pension contributions. The employer side they were told they could access upon retirement, and they wonder, can they access these funds beforehand? So I think we can just address the pension questions and then go on break, and then the other questions we will address at the end. Thank you.
Okay. Fine. So on pension, there are two things. As long as you're employed today, I think the NSSF Act provides that you must, whether you're employed or employing, you must be submitting pension to NSSF. So that is a given. Then they gave a second rider, whereby I think above a certain threshold, and I'll just get the threshold and put it in the group, you can choose to go to a private pension scheme. So the structure of pension scheme is that you have mandatory, and then you have what would be voluntary. So if you're running an organization, you can actually choose to register your own pension scheme, or you can choose to join another registered pension scheme. They're called umbrella schemes. So for people who are now in a pension schemes by virtue of the fact that they are working for a certain institution, you can access your savings as you leave employment, but your contributions only. The other part has to wait until retirement. I think they have reduced the retirement age to like 50 years. So after 50 years, then you have options. Do I access this money? A third of it you can access today at that particular point, and then 2/3 you must buy an annuity or what is called an income drawdown. So if you have that kind of money, or you have money scattered in different pension schemes, you could consolidate into maybe your current employer scheme, or you buy a personal independent pension plan. So there are different offers there are different people who offer that, and I think Jubilee is one of them that offers independent pension scheme. And again, I could maybe with what we could actually do is next week we could actually go through a session on pension only and also send a write-up on the same. So yes, you can be able to consolidate your pension scheme in an individual pension scheme, or you can actually send it to your current employer. And the other bit is if you're running a business, you must be contributing. So you need to decide whether you're sending the money to NSSF, the tier 2, or you're going to be sending it to an individual pension scheme. Again, it's a session that we can take you through on how to decide what to do with pension. But regulated by the Retirement Benefits Authority, there are various service providers. You have an administrator, a fund manager, just similar to really how money markets operate. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So we will proceed on a 10-minute break and resume at 12:10. In the meantime, there's a question from Jane. I will also post it on the group. So if you have something that you've learned about money in your own personal journey, you can share in the chat so that we learn from one another. But we shall proceed on break and resume at 12:10. Thank you. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second module of our personal financial management training. And today's module is on key pillars of financial security. So we've gotten to cover, a bit about our debt management, financial planning, and decisions we can make to set ourselves up for financial freedom. And thank you once again for the engagement on the chat. It gives us a view of where we are at so that we can leverage on the knowledge today and be better in our financial management. So I'd like to welcome back Elizabeth as we continue and finish on the second bit of the financial literacy training. Karibu, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Mantui. So yeah, it was a good break. I'm sure most of us have reflected, what is it that I can do better to increase my income, to invest better, and also to manage my debt, because debt is using other people's capital to grow your income. So debt is absolutely, when used well, good for the lender and for the borrower. I'm not sharing.
Yes.
Oh, we stopped sharing. Sorry.
But it's good to see who the face behind our training, so it's okay.
Am I
Yeah,
okay
now
now?
we can sit. Yes, thank you.
Sorry. Okay. I was wondering what's going on. So I think what we do, let's go through the slides and then we answer all the questions on chat. It's easier that way, right? So I'll spend another 15 minutes so we can engage on questions. So we have talked about many things, but now I've made these decisions. I want to grow my income. I want to invest, and I have managed debt. But what risks should I be looking at? So one of them is market risk. Remember, when you're investing in the stock market or the real estate market, the question is things will change based on the economic performance, based on demand and supply. So what should you be aware of? If I'm buying Safaricom today, what is the probability of it going higher? What's the probability of it going down? So ask those questions. The other question is about inflation. So we are, whatever 1,000 shilling would have bought 2 years ago, can't buy anymore. And to worse still is the report on salaries. The salaries seems to have even shrunk. So you need to be aware of that so that you can actually be able to maintain the same quality of life with the same amount of money that you're coming up with. So when you're investing, make sure that your returns are better than inflation. There was a question about liquidity. Liquidity is really how fast money can get back to you. Let me give you a dramatic example. You have a plot somewhere and you have an emergency, like your kid gets sick. How do you get money from it? You could be in the market selling that asset for a very long time. So liquidity is really an issue of how much can I get that money. So you need to think about, when I think about an emergency kitty, real estate investment is not an emergency kitty. It has to be money that I can get. I can go to DTB, get money from my savings account. That is how liquidity is. Then credit risk, if you are investing in something like a commercial paper, or yes, and also when you're lending money to someone, that could be a credit risk. What is the probability of that person actually paying you back? My advice is, having learned from firsthand, do not lend money to friends and relatives. Please, wachana nayo, do not. Because if you do, the relationship will end. If someone asks you for 5,000, you can give them 1,000 without expecting it back. So be it. Give them the 1,000 and don't feel guilty about it. The other key issue is about concentration risk. So not diversifying your investments and also not diversifying your income. So concentration risk is a big issue, because if, for example, your only income is employment, what happens if you're retrenched? Then the other issue is interest rate risk. So what used to happen, like in December, money market funds were giving returns of about 14–15%. Now they are about 10. So you need to be aware of those, that interest rates can go up and down. So how are you prepared for that? Business risk. This is investing in a business and then it doesn't work. So please, if you're running a business, join trainings that will help you grow better. Then number 2, if, for example, you know something that you're not good at, so if you're not a good accountant, please do not account. Let's pay someone 1,000 to do the accounting for you. Otherwise, you'll get yourself in trouble. So just look at the key pillars of running successful businesses. There are not many. It's getting the product right. The product is not for you. Remember, the product is for the client. Can you tell that this product is for the client and they care for it? Do you have the right people? And they don't have to be employed by you. They can actually be association and partnerships. Yes. Then number 3 is processes. Is it replicatable? Can you replicate this once and again, many times? Then the other thing is, how do people know about you? So marketing, branding, and all that, they are very important. So think about business risk, and there are various places that you can learn about this. You can go to the banking clubs, or you can actually, even government does this thing for free. So you just need to know where to go. So just business risk, I don't talk about it more because most of us, maybe some of us are monetizing their passions. So how do we make sure that, and I never feel bad to pay a business mentor. It might help you much more. Then the regulatory risk, if for example, you're running a regulated business, please make sure that you understand what is expected of you and do the right thing. It catches up eventually. Currency risk, if for example, you're saving for your kids' education and you would like them to go abroad, please just look for maybe hard currency investments. Behavioral risk, that is where most of us actually lose it, whereby we invest based on our feelings, our emotions. So let's just make sure that we ask ourselves the why. Like by the time you ask 5 whys, why am I buying this? Why is it important? How am I going to, why am I, why is this? Yeah, just ask yourself why 5 times. You'll have been able to come to the best investment. Then cybersecurity is important so that as you invest, you actually understand. And then reputational risk of damage of brand and trust. So you just need to make sure that you're investing in yourself, because I keep saying you're the most important asset. So always make sure that you're working on that. So it's not risk that destroys wealth, it is unmanaged risk. So the goal is not to avoid risk, but to take, to know which one you are willing to take and why. So if, for example, you're saying that I want to invest in real estate, I should be very clear. This is why I'm doing this, and you can only do that by research. And do not ever think that you will know everything. So ask the right professionals for you to be able to manage risk. So that is important. Then I said I had not talked about insurance, because some of us actually buy insurance as an investment. It is not. It is a risk management. It's a risk management tool. So what are some of the key things that we need to think about when you're buying insurance? One of them is, why do we buy insurance? One is income protection. So I think like, if, for example, you're not so sure that maybe could be retrenchment. I think there are covers that do like retrenchment and things like those. If it's your asset and that's where you're getting your income, you actually get an income protection. Then asset protection, some of us only buy car insurance because it is a regulatory requirement by the government. But imagine you speak to someone who has ever lost their car, got an accident, what it means to be restored back to where you were before. Then the other one is health securities. You want to make sure that when you get sick, you are not running around. Please just make sure that you have a cover, because that helps you, prevents financial setbacks because of medical emergencies. We can start with the simple as SHA. With all this issue or whatever people are saying, just have it. It's better to have it as opposed not to have it. You better have it when you need it and it works, as opposed to not having it. The other key thing is about business continuity. So it is always good to make sure that at least you've insured things, so that if things happen or something went wrong, you are able to work. Then the other one is legacy transfer. We start today with the end in mind. So the legacy transfer is like, I buy life insurance today and I know that it will be paid to my daughter. So that is part of legacy transferring. It should not go through probate. It just goes directly to the person that is required to be given. So that is very important when you're thinking about insurance. So what are some of the key mistakes that comes when you're buying insurance? One is delaying. So do not wait. We said we are starting today. So wait until sickness comes in. So you have someone in the hospital and you're running now to, can you give us a cover? It doesn't work. Then the other things, please read the fine print. Most of the time, the insurance company will not change, but at least you know what you're signing up for. Then you have duplication, that overlapping covers. So you have a medical cover here, but because other people are buying, you join that same cover. At times it doesn't add value. So just make sure that you are only buying covers that you require. Then the other thing is focusing on premium, choosing the cheapest, but remember the cheap is expensive at times. So just know, what am I looking for? Go for that. Then buying without understanding, because the insurance agent has told you, you know what? and I know they're very aggressive. So you can end up just signing because someone is, to keep someone off your mind, off you, please understand what you want, look for it, because it is there in the market. And then the other thing is not reviewing policies. Circumstances change, so make sure that you change policies based on the circumstances. And then ensuring the wrong person. So at times you just maybe you're the key income earner, but maybe you are insuring your spouse. And even when it comes to things like pension, just knowing like when you're buying an annuity, there are different ways, there are different ones, whereby some of them could be a survivor, whereby if I buy an annuity policy, if I die, then my spouse can continue earning. So you need to make sure that you understand. So remember, insurance does not prevent problems. It prevents poverty after problems. Because problems are given, they will come. So just make sure that you are buying insurance to make sure that at least you restore yourself to where you were before. So if something happened to you today, would your family or your business be financially okay? I would like to, maybe some comments there. If today something happens to you, what would happen to your family and to your business? Yeah. Please let's engage on the what would happen. It would continue. So when Duncan has said no. So if something happens, will it be financially okay? The answer is no. Down. They will be more rich than today. They'll be more rich than today. Oh my God. Please let them not kill you. We are in Kenya. Please let them make sure that so always make sure that yes, you are helping them to sort when things happen. Business will collapse and family will suffer. So let's make sure that we are thinking about this when it comes to legacy and also continuity. Remember, as we start businesses, we want them to outlive us. That's why I gave an example of Manu Chandara. He's built many businesses and I'm sure he does not wake up every morning to go there. So think about that today. Yeah. So fully insured. So just make sure that the other question is whether you are double insured. Just check and see, just to know what covers you have. Yeah. So I have combined insurance and risk. So when you're coming to risk, there are some of the risk management framework. So identify the risks that you foresee. I think the ones that have said no, your business will not continue. That is a significant risk. Ask yourself, how do you make sure that the business continues even post you? It is important. Then prioritize. Just ask yourself, what is the probability of this happening? Then mitigate, monitor, and then continue to document the risks and also what you have in place. So that is very, very important. We have combined risk and insurance because they come in together. So managing risk does not mean playing it safe. It means playing it smart. It's not about fear. It's about foresight. You want to make sure that you understand what is going on ahead. So, and I want to just give an example of how risk materializes. And there was this, there have been a couple of investment issues in the country, especially when it comes to crypto forex. And some people actually invested in one of these one. It's a Bitstram Circle, and they promised a return of 5% per day. So when it's 5% per day, how much is that per month? Yeah, you need to ask yourself. That is 150,000 per month. It is over 1,000 times. So you remember my question when I said, what is the risk, what is the return, and how do I get my money back? And the reason why it is good to think about how you'll get your money back, the question is, for this person to give me this return, they must be making money on the back end. So what can give you a return of at least 5% per day if it's not gambling? And gambling is not an investment. Yeah. So we need to think about that. So when you think about this, we need to understand then where we are. So at times, investors are not aware of the risk that they are taking. So unaware of unrealistic return risk, that's a way that you should just be able to tell, okay, fine, I don't see how you're going to make money for you to be able to give me this kind of return. Then some of them is regulation. Regulation helps in terms of just whatever you as the investor don't get, the regulator could get it. Then some of them are just pressure. Just know, how do you catch yourself? If everybody is investing in quails, which I did, why is it that I'm not? How are they making money? Just understand the questions. Then the other thing is at times just having a face to what you're investing is important. Then the other key question is about lack of diversification, and then almost like those referral commissions, at times you need to be aware of what is going on for you to actually put your money. So it's not greed that loses money, it's blind trust. So someone did and told you this is how they made money, so you just jump in. In a world of easy access, discernment is your best investment tool. So the first question is, how are they making money? What is the risk, and how do I get the money? Once you go through those three, your probability of getting scammed will be much, much lower. Yeah. So some questions here. What lessons have I learned from past financial mistakes? I'm sure we all have a financial mistake that we can share, but what have I learned from that? Yeah. So it's good that Paul is saying managing risk is not managing fear, it is managing smart. Yes, it is for sure. So what are some of the lessons that you have learned from past financial mistakes? I think the biggest ones is following the crowd. Then not doing your due diligence, always doing it emotionally. Yeah. Always start somewhere. It's never too late. Yes, waiting is a big issue. Who or what influences many financial decisions? For us, who influences our financial decision largely? Yeah. Who influences our financial decision? Family, friends? Is that where we get most of our information? So the aim is, yes, thank you, Finta, financial experts. But even with the financial experts, just make sure that you're looking at the diversified set, because if it's Elizabeth, I'll come tell you what I have. If, for example, the only product I make money on is stocks. Imagine you'll buy stocks. If, for example, the only thing that I make money on is Forex, I will sell you Forex. So what we need to make sure is you do your due diligence. Speak to Liz, speak to someone else, speak to different people, and then ask yourself, what am I trying to gain? Then, or what am I trying to achieve? Then sit down and say, this is the right path to go by. So that is very important. So as we come towards the end, is about legacy. Remember, I said, this is how we make money. This is how we distribute it. So that is very important. So what are some of the things that you need to understand when you're thinking about legacy? And legacy is really estate planning. We had called it estate planning the other time. So we are just thinking about this broadly. I need to think about this. So the legal framework ensures legal compliance and protection of assets. Reason being, we have had a couple of stories whereby people actually did even planned their estates, but at the end of the day, you realize that the legal teams and trustees actually keep almost like consuming the amount of money that were left in those estates. So it's very important to make sure that the legal framework you select works. Is it a will? Can it be contested in court? And what are they? And then just bring everybody in. You don't want you not to sleep in peace. So you want to make sure that when you sleep, you sleep. Then financial strategy manages wealth and ensures financial sustainability. You need to think about this today. What are the taxation issues? What are all those things that come in? Then the other key issue is relationship. You need to make sure that if, for example, we're in an African context, you have more than one wife, make sure that everybody can live together when you're not there. So foster family unity and clear communication. Let everybody knows what is where and why. And then what guides you spiritually. Remember, wealth creation really, as I had said about the wheels of life, everything is, you must believe in a higher being. So it's always good to think about this. So those are some of the things that you need to think about. So estate value diminished due to lack of legacy planning. So some of the issues that would lead to a diminishing estate would be dying intestate, so that you do not have a will. So estate distributed according to statutory rules and not your wishes. So you must make sure that at least you have written it somewhere. Then the other key issue is about hidden debts. So outstanding debts might reduce the estate's value. So just be clear and say, I took a loan and bought this asset. And actually you can actually ensure that if I die, I live in this I took a mortgage. You can actually take an insurance against to make sure that once you die, then your asset will be paid off. So unclear records, scattered assets lead to unclaimed wealth. And if you look at the Unclaimed Financial Authority, the amount of assets they have, it's in the billions, 80 or something. So you can imagine how many people whose kids are suffering, and yet their money is somewhere. And then the other key issue is about family disputes. So how do we sort that out? We need to make sure that we do a written will. then we should make sure that our wills are constantly being updated. When you get a kid, make sure that you're looking at it. Then at times we just put the wills to be secret. They will be, when you die, all the secrets will come up. So it's just good to make sure that it's not. Then when it comes to verbal agreements, again, there is what the law says that I think it cannot be late more than 6 months or 6 months after you've given a verbal will. And then we need to make sure that the dependents also understand what is in the will. You don't want that people do not know or what to expect. So let's think about legacy today. Make sure that you update in your circle. Let me give you an example. You are a member of a circle. You say next of, not next of kin, or next of kin. When you were employed, you didn't have a wife. Now you have a wife or a husband, and they are not updated. You or even maybe put your parent or anyone. So you need to make sure that at least your kids, as something changes in your life, you're actually updating your financial records. It's important. When it comes to pension, the same thing. The bank account, the same thing. So there are different ways in which you can actually transfer your assets. One of them is trust. So whereby you are buying assets today in form of a trust. Then you can actually just buy an asset for someone, that is designation, then joint ownership between you, maybe and some of your assets, then gifting while alive, just making sure that you transfer. Then the other key issue is about really just company transfers and digital asset planning. Just make sure that if today, for example, you are running a business and you're doing e-commerce, how can that continue without you? So that is very important when it comes to that. When it comes to legacy planning, the key question is, what do I want to be remembered for beyond money or success? Do you want to be that person that worked so hard and money didn't, your assets didn't go so well to the right people? Or even, do you want to be that person that made a difference where they come in? So legacy, you need to think about it today because it costs money. So if I passed away today, what would be left unclear or unplanned? Yeah. So I want us to reflect on some of those things. If today you died, where will your people start? Yeah. Where would your people start? So it is always good to think about this today, even as we start today to build wealth. How will it get to my kids, to my parents, and will there be a fight? So in summary today, what have we discussed? One is grow skills. We need to grow our income, and we grow that by growing our skills and price them wisely. So for example, never feel bad to charge what you need to charge for what the amount that you have invested, or just diversify your income, charge rightly. Then the other key thing is consistency. We start today and we consistently grow our financial cushion. Then as we grow our financial cushion, let's come up with our goals so that those particular goals are actually the ones that we're investing towards. Then we're protecting what we have today, and we are making sure that we are securing our family, our health, and our hustle. It is important. And then at the end of the day, when we are no longer there, the story will be told, and it will be very clear how things worked. So I would like to pose for questions, and then I'll come back again to the action plan, because we shall have assignments so that by the end of this whole training, 2 hours investments, we have a clear working. So I would like to, I don't know whether we go to the questions or whether they're in the comment section.
Yeah, we have the questions in the Q&A tab.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me try and go there. And I'll try really run through them as much as possible, the ones I haven't answered. So what are the key, kindly explain the risk of investing in treasury bonds, especially infrastructure bonds. The key risk there is liquidity. When you invest in a 10-year paper, you have to wait until maturity unless you can trade it in the market. If you trade it in the market, there's a probability that if interest rates have gone up from where you bought, you will get lesser value than you invested. Then kindly clarify on low and high liquidity. So liquidity is ability to get your money back. So a high liquidity means that you can easily get your money. So you are invested in the money market fund and you can get it through your digital investment. High liquidity, that's high liquidity. Low liquidity, you have to wait, you have to structure, you have to think about it. Yeah, then there is, with as little as 100,000, which is the most advisable investment with high return, or it's say a period of 2 years. So for 2 years at this point, it depends. what you want to use this. If you want to take more risks, then you can go to the stock market. If you want stability, you can go to money market funds. My view is that if you want to take a little bit, you can actually do 50-50, do a balanced fund and do a money market fund in case you need that money back. Because right now, T-bills are not giving good returns. Where do I start when I want to invest in stocks and securities? One is really open a bank, a CDC account with a broker. Right now, I think Maina Kageni was actually pushing something called NSE Easy with the Starlink. So you can actually do it digitally. So yeah, Christopher, that is very easy. Just decide which broker to use, and then you can start that journey. How many times did you fail before you succeeded? I'm still failing, Grace. You have to continue failing and waking up faster. So the thing is not in not failing. The issue is how long do you stay once you fail? You need to pivot very fast, and the failures are different. What's the best mistake on average investor makes, and how can they avoid it? I think mistakes are different, but the biggest is not starting, not asking questions. Those are for me the biggest mistakes because you're not learning even what is going on. I am planning to invest in a SACCO. Kindly clarify the benefits I will be entitled. So for the SACCO, you get a return in form of a dividend at the end of the year. And then you can also get cheaper loans. I think most of them are 3 times your savings. So those are the key reasons why you should join a SACCO. How much of success comes from patience versus intelligence? Hey, that one is a difficult one because they are intertwined. Intelligence helps, and that's why we are here asking questions, but investments is really a patience game. So we need to just make sure that we are patient. But we can't do with the one without the other. They're intertwined. Then we have a small percentage of people who have ailing parents and are now elderly, so have been taking care of them from when they started, hence unable to save or invest as they barely have enough. How would you advise this group? They also form a part of people with a chains of debts in most loaning platforms, including mobile and SACCO loans. The thing is, you cannot, the starting point is increasing your income because you cannot be able to invest that or even to pay debt with that you don't earn. So ask yourself, how can I grow my income? I have 24 hours. How much can I increase? Can I monetize something? So it all starts there, but it's really a personal financial conversation because it varies from person to person. And since you'll get my contacts, you can actually be able to take that offline. What's something you have learned about money that most people get wrong? Also, what's the best financial habit someone can develop in their mid-20s? So the biggest issue is not starting, as we went through Joseph and Brian's story. The best financial habit is, yes, start, but automate so that you don't think about things. Automate as much as you can when it comes to investments so that you do not, then do not procrastinate. That is the biggest problem. Is life insurance policy a good investment? It is not an investment, it is an insurance policy. So the returns will never be as glamorous as the investment, but you require it. Yeah. Share tools that help analyze where our money is going. So if you go to at least our website, Zurit, you'll be able to analyze. You can actually upload your M-Pesa and you are able to tell where your money is going. So I would really request that you go to our website, you go to Prosperity Tools, and you'll be able to learn a lot about your money there. And the tools are free for now. So that we have talked about what should one look out for when picking an independent pension scheme, the returns that have been there and the governance structure, and also the brand that you care for is important. But the general governance structure for pension schemes are largely the same. So the risk levels are not that different. So things like automations and all that comes in place. I have a question about insurance policy. Is it a safe way to saving? Yes, it is, because it really gives you a discipline to continue doing that. You automate and you get your money at the end and you are insured. So you can actually insure yourself. Can a self-employed join an independent or private pension scheme? What is the procedure? Yes, Joyce, and we will be happy to handhold you through it. You just need to select which one to go to. So it's something that we can take you through. Discuss about black tax and how it affects savings, investment, yani unajipanga, unajipata umejinima. So you just need to create boundaries. Black tax is about boundaries. How much should you give? And it is really a personal conversation. And you could actually come up with strategies of how do you contribute as a family and all that. So it's a necessary evil, but create boundaries. If you have put in your budget, and you must budget for it, so that you know if it's not my mother, it is not my immediate family, I'm not going past this amount. It is important. Is it safe to invest with Cyton at the moment? The answer is I'm conflicted. I am a director at Cyton, so allow me to take a pass on that because I will definitely say yes. But remember, I am a director at Cyton, so I am conflicted. Is there any investment which is halal way that is not based on interest? Yes, Avocap have some of those and a couple of other money market funds. Again, we are happy to take you through that. What is a money market fund? A money market fund is a commingled fund where you put your money and then it is invested and you get a return at the end of the day. What is your general thought on special funds? Are they safe? Just meeting to understand further. So Josephine, again, it will be understanding where is the money being invested? How do you generate the return? How is the money coming back? I'll give you the formula as opposed to saying, is it good, or the way to ask yourself those questions. Could you elaborate on how money market fund interest rates are calculated? So it is very simple. You have, everybody brings in 100 shillings, 100 shillings. It is invested in a DTB account. Whatever rate they get is what is distributed. So if I invested 100 shillings, the return is 10%, that is what I'm going to get. So it's really everybody coming in. The only difference is that they are able to negotiate higher than you do by yourself. Elaborate more on real estate trust. So the real estate investment trust, again, works like how the money market fund would. So what they do is that the underlying asset is real estate. So you need to be very aware of, you need to understand, am I buying into an income fund whereby I'll be getting income in form of rental income? That's why the returns will be, or am I doing a real estate development? So it's really all of us, it's like a chama. All of us putting money in the chama and then investing in real estate, and then we distribute the returns. Can you get a medical cover but not use it because you are saving it for retirement? Especially if you already have a medical cover. Yes, the retirement benefits regulation provides for what is called a pre-retirement medical cover. You start contributing today for you to utilize once you retire. So again, happy Rosalind to take you through the process and also see which are some of the ones that you could buy. Would you advise getting a big loan to clear small ones? And would that concentrate on repaying the one? The small ones have monthly tenor, so pay them off, then remain with the one bigger one. Yes, absolutely. It's just consolidating your debt. You do not want everybody calling you. You're the most important asset here. Since you're the most important asset, protect the asset. So as many people call you, it's better to consolidate. It is important. Forex guys are super rich. How are they doing it? I do not know. That one, let me take a pass. I do not know how Forex guys are rich because I am a fundamental investor. I train people how to make money by asking questions. If you were to share a sample budget for a net salary of 285,000, share please. So Harris, again, you can go to our prosperity tools. We should be able to do that. We may not be able to share that here. Are treasury bonds better than my MMFs? No. It depends on where you are investing. So again, goal-based investing, because you could look at a higher return, but how does the money come back? Habiba, again, which circle is good to join? And I choose not to respond because there are different things that you look at when you're joining a circle. If the aim is to get a loan, make sure that at least you have people who can be able to guarantee you. How do you recoup your capital from circles if you decided to? Again, you can write to them and they will pay you back. It just takes longer time. Is Zurich website active? I thought it is. I can check again. Before we started, I thought it was active. So I will check again and respond to that. Assuming you had a chance to talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself assuming 18 today? I would start today with help money. And I would also tell myself, compound interest is for money, for growth, for wealth creation. It is not a formula to pass mathematics. That is what I would tell Elizabeth, who is 18 years. So think about it today. How do we teach our children financial literacy? There are various ways, and we can actually, first of all, the easiest thing is really to involve them in decision making. You want to buy a sweet and you want to buy a toy and you want, so decide. So that way they start getting conscious about money. Between a 7-year circle loan, higher monthly repayments, and a 10-year bank loan, lower monthly repayment of the same amount, which one should I go for? The one that is costing you less. The interest rates will matter. Is custodial business, is custodial? Can a bank buy off a non-performing loan from another bank if you are seeking to restructure? That one, Mantu will answer. So in terms of tax, it is always on interest. On everything is on the return. So should I? So Mantu, you have another question? What you're interested on the loans? You'll answer that. So again, on the, do I invest large amounts than I save or save large amounts than I invest? If you save, you must save before you invest. So again, invest everything that you save. So in terms of analyzing, please just go to our website. And I think I've covered most of them. Tell us about the 50-30 rule. In terms of budgeting, today I chose not to talk about budgeting because next week we shall be concentrating on consumption, which is the best way to budget. You take 50% of the essential of your income on essentials, 30% on discretionary, but makes your life better, and 20% on investing and debt management. So we shall cover that in detail next week. Please make sure to be here. I need a business consultant. Can you help? Sure, we can. We're happy to help. You can reach out to us. Sharia compliant investments. So then I'm not a Sharia compliant expert, but there are a couple of Sharia compliant investments that you can look at. I know one with Avoca. Again, I'm happy to connect you to them. And I think there are a couple of banks that have Sharia compliant. Again, Mantui, if you don't mind, you can tell us about a Sharia, if you have a Sharia compliant product. In terms of reliability and risk, what option better investing, SACCO or MMF? The answer is it depends why you are investing. If you're investing to take a loan, then SACCO. If you're investing for liquidity management, then a money market fund. Anything from DTB on money market fund investment? Again, I think it's their sister company that does that in form of Jubilee. And I think there's a lady who has those contacts. I take a pass on the SACCO to join, please, because again, it depends. I've given you the framework, then you decide which one works better. So does Zurich assist in MMF setup? The answer is yes. You just need to reach out to us and we'll be able to reach you to that. I want to money market fund, sure. Is betting an investment? Of course not, please. It is not an investment. It is almost like a sickness. So we should actually be able to only invest where we can make money. How do you make money in betting? It's very difficult.
Yeah, I think you've covered pretty much, yes, all the questions, and I'm seeing the ones that are also coming in are similar to what you've answered. And yeah, so thank you so much, Elizabeth. And for the questions around DTB, we do not have an MMF, but we do have a custodial business unit that helps to facilitate investments. I'm also sharing the official contact of DTB on the chat just now. So all the very specific questions, like we do acquire the loan, so you can just reach out to the number that I have shared, so that you get assistance that is specialized to your situation. So yes, thank you so much, Elizabeth. I think you've answered pretty much all the questions. And even as you finalize with, I know you had one more slide that would sort of guide. I would like to ask participants. I can see the hands. Thank you so much, everyone. Elizabeth, receive your round of applause. And in the chat, again, as always, let us know what is the one takeaway from today's session. I remember when we started, we had a participant share about the cancelled plans just after the session from last week because of the insights they had gained. And they realized, oh, I need to probably spend that money in a better way. So we like seeing takeaways that are implemented. So as always, share your feedback so that we can know how best to tailor the sessions. I will also share in the chat I had shared earlier, but we do have a template, an Excel sheet that provides templates prepared by Zurich that can help you, whether it's budgeting or the different lessons that we're learning today, so that you can be able to apply this practically. So look out for the Excel sheet in the chat. Yes, and then now I think I can hand over to Elizabeth to just now finalize before we close the session.
Great. So what are the action points that would make sense for you? One, focus on learning. That is why we are here. Thank you so much, DTB team, for this. It is really good that you bring people together to learn. So it is important for us to identify what would be the next point of learning that you would like. So again, you can send to Mantui, what would you like us to cover? Maybe so that we can just change maybe what you would want. The other key problem that I have had, but once you live here, you go to your business, you realize that the biggest problem you have today is maybe you jalipa KRA or there is something. So make sure that we create an accountability framework that establishes what we want to do. Then once you've created the accountability framework, create a support system. Who are the people, who is your money buddy? It is important. And I will keep saying this until the sessions are over. And then manage your risk. So always understand that it is important to manage your risk at any one time. So what have we done at Zurich to help you, to partner with you? So yes, we work on this, that what is financial wellness. We focus on financial health. We want to train you. We want to make sure that we are making the right investment decision. So knowledge is key. Feel free to go to our website and subscribe to our to our newsletter. So we do Money Mondays just to help you know what should you be doing this week. We want to be your accountability person. So through our tools. So what Mantu is going to share is in Excel. You can actually get the exact same thing through our website, what we call a prosperity dashboard. It will help you see how much debt do I have? How much assets do I have? How much is this asset actually giving me? And we shall remind you end month or mid month that you need to invest. Then we shall also help with risk management. So my main takeout is we have had, let's take action. And then let's automate the action so that it is easier for us to actually follow up without necessarily spending a lot of time in the thought process. So thank you so much, Mantui. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, Elizabeth. I think we can give a few participants the opportunity to speak. I can see some hands are raised. So we would like to hear from you, and then we can now officially close. So I will allow Abayo and Holly to speak. So can now be able to unmute. Duncan and Rodney as well. And so if we have maybe two of you able to unmute and maybe make your comments or ask your question, and that would be good. Zohib, I see you've been able to unmute. Okay. Okay, so I think maybe they're not able to. Okay, let me allow Stephen.
Hey, sorry about that. I was just moving to another room. I had a question for Elizabeth. She had mentioned her book Transcend. Where can I get a copy of that?
So you can reach out to us. It's on Nuria, but you can reach out to us and we shall deliver. So we have the book. So let me actually explain to you. We have the book on business, which is called Transcend, and we have a book on personal finance called Thrive. So you can actually make an order from our website, or you can actually reach out to me on my WhatsApp, and I will be able to organize for that. But you can also get them on Nuria.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And regarding the sessions, you know, it's a great way for me to start having these conversations about finance with myself, because I feel like fundamentally personal finance is a steady conversation that you keep having with yourself. I stopped working a few months ago, and you know, my finances slipped a little bit, and restarting that journey is always difficult, you know, sitting down and saying, okay, hey, you know, I'm earning this much and I need to do this and that with my money. It's always super easy to just avoid that. So yeah, these sessions have been a great help, and thank you very much.
Oh, great, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
And maybe just to add on to that, for anyone who we usually do every Tuesday, we have free trainings on money. Free training every Tuesday, 7 to 9. So you can actually ask your people to be joining us by following us on our socials. We always put them there, the registration links there.
Good. Thanks, Zohib, and also for sharing your journey. And we wish you the very best as you also implement the lessons from today. Stephen, you can go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, DTB, for having this session for us. It's very very opening. My question for both of you, is it possible to have a brief session on how we can teach our children to be financially literate so that they start early? Yeah. So I organize for retreat.
So if I get your question correct, is how we can teach your children, isn't it?
Yes, if we can have a session on like how to teach our children about financial literacy so that they have an early start.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good feedback. Allow us to, maybe get back to you on this. And I think we have your email in our database, so we will for sure share once we come up with something that would be good for your children. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. All right. So I don't know if let me just allow one more person. We have 5 minutes, so I can. Yeah. Muritu, I have enabled you to speak.
Yeah.
And yeah, there we
Good
go.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the presenter. Thanks a lot for DTB. My concern is that we are missing a lot and we are learning this a bit late, or maybe we are learning when we're adults. Could this maybe kind of trainings be put into the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development so that our children in the primary schools also get some of this information so that it spreads to many children instead of teaching our individual children at home, because some of them may be disadvantaged. But when it is in the primary school curriculum, it can be of much help to our children so that they grow as an entrepreneur or people who are able to manage money as adults. That's my request. Is it doable?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Muritu. I see Elizabeth want to respond as well.
I think I saw some curricular development and just need to figure out how far it is and if we have a way to influence that, yes. But yes, we should all have learned money matters before.
Yeah, thank you. And we're seeing this as a theme, even Chemitai on the chat. So yes, we will also take and try and pursue this from our end as well. Thank you. Okay, so all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've now come to the close. Okay, Abai, one more person and then let me close. Yes, Abai.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Eunice Waka. Thank you for this interactive session.
Hi, I'm calling you back in a few minutes.
I have a problem.
Eunice, sorry, you're having some challenge with the sound.
Hello. Can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yes, now you can go ahead.
My question is, someone like me, I do real estate business and my earnings is not consistent. I have a problem with when I start saving plan, like if I'm supposed to commit on a monthly basis, because my income does not come in monthly. My income comes on it can be after 4 months, it can be after 3 months or 6 months, but it comes in bulk. So how would you advise someone like me to take something like a saving plan or money market fund? Because I've been having problems with that for quite a long time right now.
I think it would get to what would say income smoothing. And what would happen is the day maybe you have made some little bit of commission, then that's what you put in the money market fund, and then you can actually do some payout. So what happens is that because people are not very disciplined, so most of the fund managers are actually putting what is called is it a lock? Even if you wanted your money, it's your money. But if you said you want it end month, party. So those are some of the things that you can look at so that you can actually say you're not impulse withdrawing. So those are some of the conversation, and happy to have a session with you.
Great. Thank you, Eunice, for the question, and everyone for your engagement, both in the chat as well as, you just speaking. So I think we have come to the end of our session today. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, once more for taking your time to break these concepts down. And we hope that everyone, you're able to now take these concepts, use the Excel sheets, the templates that we have shared, so that we can see progress in your personal financial management journey. We will be having the third session next week, and it will be about budgeting. So breaking that down, and I encourage you to just come ready with your pen, with your paper, or your laptops, so that we can make it as practical as possible. So with that said, thank you so much, Faith, as well, and Lillian for the sign language interpretation. And everybody, we thank you once more. So have a great day and see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Mantui. Bye. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody.